Hello everybody and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network. Eagles football is finally back on our screens. The bye week is behind us and for better or worse, the Eagles are back. Now the remaining 8 games are obviously going to do the bulk of deciding who gets to the NFC East crown, who will make the playoffs from this absolute train wreck of a division. And as of right now, the team have a 1.5 game lead. Can they maintain that? The best way to kind of guess is to look at who they're going to play. 8 games left on the schedule. In this video, we break down each opponent, and as of right now, the chances of a win and where the team should end up theoretically by the end of this season. We're going to dive straight into it, guys, taking a look at the New York Giants. They are 2-6 at the moment with a 31st ranked offense and a 15th ranked defense. Now, the one thing you need to know about the New York Giants is that Boston Scott owns them. It's that simple. That's all there is. But we do have to take a look at the larger picture, and that's that Daniel Jones has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this season. He's had 9 picks and 7 fumbles, which sounds scarily familiar for Eagles fans right now, and we all know that last time he faced the Eagles, Brandon Graham in the elite season he's having came up in the clutch to force that ball out of his hand and ensure the Eagles get the dub. All the offense needs to do this game is just not shoot themselves in the foot. It's that simple. They don't need to be spectacular. They don't need to drop 35 points because I don't think the Giants are a team capable of... Alright, don't quote that. Alright, if they do shoot 35, just don't quote that. But it's just really hard to envision the Giants actually keeping up with the Eagles if they start out hot. Doug Peterson said earlier this week that he knows that his first down play calls haven't been too great and the team often find themselves in second and long, which is only further hampering Carson Wentz and him trying to make the bigger play because the cards are stacked against him. If the Eagles can just avoid shooting themselves in the foot, turning the ball over, making silly errors, they've got enough talent now with those injured returning to the offense to get past the Giants relatively easy here, especially after they almost choked a ridiculous lead to the Washington football team. I can see this being a win. On to the Cleveland Browns. They're 5-3. Offense ranks 24th. Their defense ranks 20th. And they're among the most puzzling teams I've seen this season. I mean, their backfield is ridiculous. There is no doubting that Nick Chubb is one of the best running backs in the league. He is a runaway train. But their defense has struggled. It hasn't quite lived up to the hype. And although Myles Garrett is still having a hell of a season, that pass rush still dangerous, the secondary hasn't lived up to that star reputation outside of maybe Denzel Ward. So I can see the Eagles hanging around in this one. And bear in mind, Cleveland are in a much tighter divisional race. The pressure will absolutely be on them here. The Eagles go into this matchup in this scenario riding a 3-game winning streak. I think they'll be feeling confident coming off the bye, a lot healthier. All it takes is 1 game from Carson Wentz to get that mojo back, to start feeding his receivers as he once did. And I can see them very easily again coasting past the Cleveland Browns. Now, we know Baker Mayfield can get dangerous. We also know he plays dangerous, very much the same as Carson Wentz, a bit of a daredevil. And I think that if you can take away the run, you can stop Nick Chubb, as the Eagles' run defense has done with many great running backs over the last few years, then they can force that ball into Baker's hands, who is now void of any kind of offensive weapons. OBJ down, and obviously Jarvis Landry now being the go-to guy. You man him up with Darius Slade. There isn't too much else cooking outside at wide receiver. I think the Eagles win here. Before we get into the rest of the games though, guys, just a quick heads up that if you are not in our Flick Sports group chat, you might well miss out on being part of the 500 club. It is free to join. 498 Eagles fans in there right now, talking shop, entering giveaways, weekly fantasy competitions, and making new friends. It is such a great thing to be a part of. Like, I'm really happy we're at a point where we can facilitate this kind of thing. So if you're an Eagles fan, if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you're new around here, come hang out with us, say hello. We're always looking to expand our community. The Seahawks are 6-2. Their offense ranks 3rd, their defense ranks 32nd. So, I mean, the Eagles haven't beat the Seahawks since 2008. That's a long time, and they've played each other fairly regularly as well. I just can't see this being the year that Carson Wentz magically finds it and gets past the Seahawks, especially with DK Metcalf being an absolute Optimus Prime superhuman. I just don't think the Eagles have enough to get past them. Now, defensively, the Seahawks are terrible, and if Carson Wentz can find any kind of ground, if Miles Sanders gets involved in the passing game, something he hasn't done in the last few weeks, and maybe there is a chance from a betting perspective of a backdoor cover, would I feel comfortable lumping my house on the Eagles to win this game? No. is his answer. And I could see it being one of those games the Eagles do go out and win, because they seem to win one every year where they just have no business being a part of, but somehow winning. I can't see it being the Seahawks. I really can't. I'd love it to be, but we'll be realistic for this prediction. We'll take the first loss here. Next up, though, is the Green Bay Packers. And if we roll back to week 4 last year, Jordan Howard had a hat-trick of touchdowns, and the Eagles somehow, final play of the game, win it because Aaron Rodgers throws at Craig James. It's deflected up. Nigel Bradham picks it off, secures an unlikely bag for the Eagles. That was the game they shouldn't have won, but somehow did. You know, the game where Devontae Adams had about 5,000 first half yards and then proceeded to get injured and the Eagles crawled back into it. I could see this very much happening again. Are a very different beast to what they saw last year. However, the team by this point, hypothetically, fingers crossed, are going to be the healthiest they've been all season. They're riding a bit of momentum. They drop a game to Cleveland. They're on the road at Green Bay. They know how important this game is. I think they could do it here. I think they really could. Now you've got Darius Slay to take away Devontae Adams. That immediately retracts one side of the field. Aaron Rodgers at a slight disadvantage. The pass rush is feasting. I think the Eagles can hang, and more importantly, if Wentz does continue to progress and not regress, I think they can win. We're going to add another win to the column here. I think this is a big dub for the Eagles. Alright, the New Orleans Saints, 6-2, with a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. They've been a bogey team for the Eagles for quite some time now, much like the Seahawks. And the last time Carson Wentz played them, he did that Madden rage quit thing where he just starts aimlessly launching balls up for interceptions, and now he's doing that for fun. I can't see the Saints rolling over here. I think that they're too good. They decimated the Tampa Bay Bucks. I just really cannot see a scenario where the Eagles overcome the Saints. Like, if they beat the Packers, I think they drop to the Saints. It's a prime letdown spot before that schedule gets easier. We'll take an L here. Cardinals 5-3, and they'll face the Eagles just before 2 very, very important games. This, for me, is the toughest defensive challenge of the year. Kyler Murray is like the ultimate combination of what Lamar Jackson can do from an athletic perspective to what Russell Wilson can do from a quarterbacking perspective. He is the dream combination hybrid player of the two, and you're seeing it this year. He is absolutely incredible, and I think a lot of that is because you've got such a potent offense where DeAndre Hopkins is feasting, and even though you're going to put Darius Slay out there, you're going to have a lot of pressure on linebackers who have already proven to have trouble getting side to side. If Nate Gary's playing, they're going to have trouble getting side to side, and stopping Kyler Murray becomes a completely different task. I'm going to assume that they take an L here because the Cardinals are going to want to secure that division. They'll be red hot. The Eagles by this point could well have a 2 to 3 game cushion. They'll know how important those divisional games are at the end. I think they'll just take an L. They're on the road before going back to Dallas. I think it's a loss here against the Cardinals. The Dallas Cowboys, who are a dumpster fire, somehow more so than the Philadelphia Eagles. And even when Garrett Gilbert shows a sign of life and propels the Cowboys into a situation they shouldn't be in, and they were contesting the Steelers and beating the Steelers, they choked it away, and that may well have been the nail in the coffin. That was an absolute gravedigger game from her. There is no hope now. Forget how close the division is. 2-7 at that point after getting that close to turning the tide around and crumbling. I think that's a gravedigger game. I think the Cowboys are pretty much done for the year now without Dak, and I can see the Eagles just steamrolling their way through before going into Washington. They take a dub. Final game of the season. The winner of this is going to win the division, in my opinion. This could well be a WrestleMania moment. You've got the Eagles, the Washington football team. Alex Smith completed nearly 75% of his passes when going into the game last week. Almost pushing them to a huge comeback win against the Giants. That didn't happen, but if Smith, who is clearly more capable than Kyle Allen, has been around longer than Dwayne Haskins and whoever else they're going to try at this point, I know he's come back on a miraculous journey from that horrible, horrible, gruesome injury, and I would love to see him thrive. Not in this game, though, and the Eagles are going to have to play their asses off because we know how good that defensive line is. I think that half game against the Bengals, that overtime tie could well be the difference here, and in a tied record, that's going to seal them the division. This, for me, at this point, is a coin flip game. But given the importance of it, given that they're at home, given what they did at the end of the season last year against Washington, where Greg Ward got his first touchdown and they really heated up, I think we're going to see the same here. Those last 2 divisional games, the Eagles staking their claim, getting into the playoffs, and then whatever happens, happens, but we'll chalk that up as a dub. And that, of course, leaves us with a final 8-game record of 8-3 and an overall record of 8-7-1. How do you think the team will do in this time? Let me know down in the comment section below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you soon.